So BTC just short of 95K. What a 24 hours has been. These alts have absolutely exploded. Some of those entries that you guys got the last couple of days have really served us well. But now, guys, we are at resistance on a lot of altcoins. Is there going to be a little short-term breather here? Are we going to get an opportunity to long some of these things? So I've got tons of setups coming in hot for you. The market is cooking. It's a good day. Let's get right into it. Guys, and remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. And you can see I'm in a slightly different environment at the moment. I've had quite a hectic day trying to trade all the shit and moving at the same time. So it's been a little bit wild, but let's go. Let's get into it. And things are looking sweet. Look at the 𝗬𝗰, and it's been an absolute banger. That 𝗬𝗰 and that SOL, those big positions that I had teed up for the last couple of days, they closed via take profit limit sells in the middle of the night. And I woke up and I thought I was rinsed, but they had actually closed to the upside. What an absolute banger! Tank says, "What are we shorting?" Well, Tank, I got a couple of things for you. Okay, I got a few plans for you guys. But look, guys, overall, what an absolute banging day in terms of longs. Okay, all my head shorts got absolutely rinsed. But let's start with BTC, and then we're going to tackle a couple of things. So a few interesting things here with BTC at the moment is that the last time we saw cash flow this strong on the 2-hour chart was in the middle of January. Okay, look at January here. That's the last time we had such a peak in the cash flow. I mean, we got to go so far back to even find this thing, but it was here. Okay, so somewhere in January is the last time we had this type of strength on the 2-hour cash flow. So in terms of the market, in terms of buying and stuff like that, there's a lot of activity here at the moment on BTC. So it's definitely looking favorably bullish here, definitely looking very strong at the moment. And you've seen there was a little bit of a headline that just came out that I'm going to talk about in a second that did put a damper on things and did turn it over. But you can see immediately we are bouncing already. Okay, so very interesting times here for us. But in terms of BTC, this was one of our big zones, the 95K. You can see this is a big danger zone here for us, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. If we do get a push up on BTC here and maybe one more dip into that zone, finish that order block there to the upside, it's going to be very interesting to me if we print a lower high there on our oscillator, and then we potentially get a beautiful rollover on BTC, then maybe something that we can play around with down to about 87 or so. So levels I'm watching now, 95K, danger zone, danger zone, danger zone. Be careful up there. Then some interesting supports that make sense to me to the downside, 100-day moving average, 91K. 200-day moving average, 88.4, both super bullish that we've broken that. The 200-day is key. I mean, that's going to be a big level for us if we come back and test that zone. So 88.4 and then a wick into 87K. So that's how it's looking for me at the moment in terms of some downside zone. So anybody sitting in a BTC short, I unfortunately missed this opportunity. I know Jay and some of the community and hackers got the short earlier, but I missed that one, unfortunately. So I'm going to wait for the next pump on BTC to see if I can try and catch that one to the downside. Okay, so these are the levels that we're watching at the moment. Then I'm going to show you the daily chart in a couple of minutes, and I'm going to show you the next target for BTC, because it's very possible that this market is so hungry now and Bitcoin could start squeezing again. So I want to give you the next big rejection zone, and you're going to see how beautiful these zones are and how they react so nicely when I show you this daily chart. I'm farting like, what's going on here, 𝗁𝗁𝗲𝗄𝗏?
Then you are an asshole. A proper one.
Okay, so we got lots of news to talk about as well. Obviously, things happened in the middle of the night, but basically this was me this morning when I woke up. I was feeling like these dudes. It was a good. I mean, who's feeling like this? James? Are you feeling bullish still? Are you bullish? Are you bullish?
We're bullish until that tweet just came out. Was quite bullish up until then. That's the problem, is we're at the mercy of a tweet any second.
Guys, we're going to tell you exactly what is going on in the news. Okay, this is a big thing for me as well. And I dropped this on Twitter today. Follow me on Twitter. Okay, this was one of the longs that I was sitting in. And I said, if you're making money long, sorry?
Huge.
Wait, I've got that somewhere. But I said, if you are making money long and screenshotting your P&Ls for your friends, make sure you actually close some of the position, or all you might have left after a reversal is a good story on what might have been. So guys, remember the importance of closing trades. And you can see, look where I closed to, 2.77. This fucking thing still ran some more. I tell you what, it cuts, it really burns. But I tell you what doesn't burn, fucking holding those USD that we've worked so hard on that we could use later on. Okay, so just remember that feeling when you're pumping like this, you're showing your buddies, okay, I really was aware, self-aware here of some of these trades, and you got to close this shit. Okay, so take profits, take profits, take profits. I cannot stress this enough for you guys. Now, this is kind of how it all started last night. We had Donald coming out and basically saying he had no intention of firing Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Now, remember, there's been a lot of speculation that he wanted to, and that he was trying to through the Supreme Courts and doing whatever he was, and the market wasn't that happy with it because a government in control of the Fed is quite a scary thought for the US. So the people weren't happy with that. But now he's come out pretty bullish and said he's got no intention of firing Powell. Okay, but this is also what went down. Then we made them think tariff wars are happening, and then they sold their Bitcoin.
And we scooped it up at the lows.
Dude, I mean, they came out last night, I mean, firing in that Asia session. And it was absolutely unreal. And President Trump is now saying we're going to be very nice to China. Now, in summary, okay?
You are an asshole. A proper one.
Now, James, tell us exactly what's going down. It looks like Donald has capitulated here. What's the story?
It's hard to keep up, but last night, that's what made the huge push, is that there was an interview at the White House, and that's where he talked about Powell there, that he has no intentions of getting rid of him, trying to calm the market there, because everyone was freaking out about that. And then said that he was going to drastically cut the tariffs to China, that 145% was really high. It's not going to stay there. It's not going to go to zero, but it's going to come down substantially. And that's where things took off. I mean, there was also the SEC chair that was in there with him saying that he's going to make America the crypto capital of the world, and he's going to make regulations his number one thing. But yeah, that whole White House thing, there was all kinds of good news there.
Okay, so tons of good news. Once again, guys, we're getting driven by tweets and we're getting driven by Donald's mouth, okay? Whatever the man says either pumps us or dumps us. It's quite an uncomfortable position, but if we're absolutely screaming to the upside like this, we can work with it, okay? It's not the worst shit, not the worst problem we've ever had. But look, that's what's going down at the moment. It looks like he's pulling back a little bit on the tariff situation. And the Chinese, they're obviously coming right. And for me, looking at this, from the outside, it looks like they're actually kind of winning this situation at the moment. So this has just come out, okay? And this is what tipped the market over a couple of minutes ago, or what added to it. But now it's not a coincidence. This stuff's all sitting at resistance. But US Treasury Besant says a trade deal with China may take 2 to 3 years to reach, okay? He just declines to comment on the WSJ report, and the S&P immediately started selling off. Now, obviously, this is just words, okay? He's saying it takes 2 to 3 years, but what does that trade deal look like? It could look like a 5% tariff or something ridiculous. So I don't think it takes away too much from the fact that the Trump admin is pulling back a little bit on the Chinese situation. And then Brian T. Kango says Trump isn't wrong for wanting to get a better deal from America's trade partners. The problem is that he surrounded himself with and listened to the advice of people who hate and disrespect China. I think that's a fair statement. They weren't very polite about the situation.
Well, it's hard to negotiate like that when you're smashing someone over the head with a hammer. Yeah, there's
Correct.
other ways that you can do it.
Why would they want to go and talk to him? So anyway, guys, look, you can read this guy's opinion. That's his thought process on the situation. But what do we know? Okay, the gold price China's gold reserves are rising, okay, pushing up. And we can see global ETFs have now seen a record inflow. Here's the question. Did everyone just buy the fucking top of gold, okay, when we were shorting it yesterday? We're going to find out. Okay? So
but you said the other day, you're like, oh, everybody's aping in. This is the top. I'm going to short that shit.
I told you though, okay?
Yeah, I told you.
When these guys come in and the record flows, they literally buying the top, okay? Worst case, they're buying the top, or best case, they're buying the top of a move. So maybe it will actually still going. I'm not saying gold can't go to 5K. We don't know what's going to happen out of Donald's mouth just yet. But what I do know is, fuck me, we nailed that gold short. And yesterday, I said to you guys, this candle was not looking great in terms of it was looking pretty bearish. Okay, so we got this thing right. We finally got that gold short. Now I'm sitting short gold. Okay, here's the situation on LBank. Remember, you can short gold and long gold with me on LBank. We're trading PAXG. Okay, so there's the gold short that I've got. And you can see my LBank is clean. I've cleaned everything up. I've started 2 small positions here. One is a 𝗬𝗰 short, probably going to end myself. I'm going to take you through the chart. The other one is a 𝗬𝗃 short, probably going to end myself. I'm going to take you through the chart. XRP is long. It's a trade I gave to hackers earlier today. It looks like we're holding our 50-day. And then here's that gold short. Look, I don't know. I'm not ready to close it yet. I don't think gold's going to go to zero, but there's potentially, more pump in the S&P, more downside for gold, I would expect. So I'm going to leave that one just where it is for now. But yeah, very happy with the results. But as you can see, guys, I am obviously de-risking now a little bit in terms of what I'm looking for. So this LBank, I've banked a lot of profits here, and now I'm just chilling. Okay, so I'm starting small positions. If these things fall over, I'm going to add to these things. But remember, after a good run, take some profits off the table, reset a little bit, just gather yourself, gather your thoughts. Don't carry on aping, ape the same size, and just keep it, tone it down. Okay, and then we go again. Remember, there's always another opportunity. This market never goes away. It's always here for us. Okay. Okay. So the gold guys, we know the story. I'm going to hold short for now. Then we had Tesla earnings. Now, this was interesting because they missed some of their earnings. It wasn't their best results ever. But now we've had a natural pump on Tesla with the market turning higher. But what we did get was Tesla haven't sold any of their 1 billion Bitcoin yet. Okay. So that is obviously a bullish sign for crypto. But in terms of Tesla, we are still just mucking about in this range. So you can see we've had a strong pump today, but I think it was a generic or market-wide pump here in the market. So we need to see where this thing settles. But in terms of potential short ideas for me on Tesla, guys, if we do carry on pumping, 270 for me is going to be a short zone, and I'm going to try and take that short on Tesla on BTCC. You can see Apple is rolling over a little bit here as well while we're speaking at the moment. So BTCC short for me, 270 on Tesla. Going to wait for that one to hit our zone. And then in terms of the S&P, guys, look, I still like to see a little bit more upside. 5,650, would love that. Okay, I really think we're going to get a beautiful short opportunity anywhere in that zone. I think it could be really fun. And yes, PEPE short, guys. Yes, we are short PEPE. Okay, I am short PEPE. I'm also long PEPE, but I gave a short earlier to chart hackers as well. So that is still going. Okay, let's go BTC. Now, this is the chart I wanted to show you, the power of these big zones, the power of the dailies, the power of the weeklies. And what were we saying yesterday? If we broke through these areas, this was going to be the next big one that we want to pay attention to. There was a lot of liquidity there. There was a lot of resistance in terms of underside support previously on dailies. So we knew also a giant order block here. We knew that was going to be a place where they're going to put the brakes on. So right now, if we get a squeeze out of BTC and you want to know, okay, you want to know where's the next zone for Bitcoin. Maybe you want to short it. Where's the next short zone? Or maybe you want to long it. Where's the next big rejection zone? For me, guys, that is up here at 99,000. So if we pump into 99K, I would be super cautious in that area. So one more rip from BTC, 99K, danger zone there for me. That is the next one. So in terms of the current situation, well, you can see on the daily, things are pretty clean at the moment as to where we can find our buys and where we can find support. And we just need to play this thing nice and slow now and be patient. Okay, now it's difficult to be patient when the market is super hot. Okay, and that is why we invented scalping and short-term little things. But in terms of the high conviction, big plays, guys, that was when the market's falling over, when it's dipping into the big zones. Now we're chasing a little bit. If you're looking for more pumps, we are chasing a little bit. So ideally, what I want to see on BTC is some kind of pullback, some kind of dip here, and it doesn't have to be big. Now you can see my 236 has got not much going on here at this 89K, so I covered it in detail for you on the 2-hour chart. But wouldn't it be nice for the market as a whole just to get a little flag here out of BTC under this daily and then some kind of pop? So I think that'll be pretty healthy for these altcoins as well. So for me, guys, watch that 100-day MA I showed you on that previous chart and watch those levels just below that and let's see if we can build some kind of flag there, and then we're going to have a fight. And Matt says the fight for 100K is going to suck. Look, it's definitely a big area incoming there for us. Okay, dominance, guys. Look, turning over. It's obvious this is a massive weekly zone. So as long as dominance keeps rolling over, we are good for our altcoins. Okay, we should be holding higher lows, and we should just be grinding higher. Bar obviously pullbacks along the way. You're going to get flush outs, obviously, but as long as we are trending down on dominance, I'm comfortable. I'm happy with these alts for holding higher lows, 382, 618, those types of things. So looking for that to play out, obviously, and then let's get into the stuff. So ETH, big surprise, hey? ETH came out nice and strong. Look, I think the whole market surprised us, but we've now got whales continually buying ETH, $9.8 million from this guy. And look, the guys are interested again. I feel so bad for that guy that shorted last. I feel so bad for that guy, James. I mean, this guy yesterday, I showed you on my show, but like, he sold his bags at what, 1,550?
Something like that. And then he took out, I forget, was it a 30x short, big size, $6 million or something like that? Yeah, he got wrecked.
He shorted it. I mean, okay, it's the ultimate pain, guys. It's the worst pain out there. You can just imagine how upset he was with the market, okay? And Zen, apologies for the way I say PEPE. Okay. Okay, what do we want to know about ETH? So just touching this briefly, guys. ETH on the 3-day, eternally bullish. Look at that. Lots of double divergence prints we can see. Okay, this thing is looking bullish on the 3-day. It could potentially want to grind higher. But now, these are the zones that we looked at yesterday. These were the danger zones. Look at this thing. It's banged into our 50-day moving average. Look at that perfect rejection there off a 50-day MA. And that is now our marker that we're going to use at the moment for ETH. So we got to let things settle a little bit, in my view. And it's going to be similar to a lot of these altcoins. So the perfect situation for me, obviously, and now that's going to be on lower time frames, but ideally you want to see some consolidation just under that 50 and then a nice pop, because we know when these alts start breaking the 50-day MA, they absolutely rip. Look what happened to 𝗬𝗰. Look what happened to Link. Look what happened to all of these that have broken through the 50. And one of them is NEAR that hasn't broken through the 50 yet either. So I'm going to be talking about that. But potentially some big moves coming here for ETH. You've got to clear 1830. 1830. Let's get through that 50-day MA. And then I think you guys cruise to about 2,000, 2,100 on ETH. I think that's going to be the next big one. But guys, if you want to track ETH, you want to watch it, make sure it's popping that 50-day MA. If you're going to start aping into shit, make sure that it starts breaking some good levels. Okay, let's cover SOL, also a grinder, and close me out. Okay, close me out at a nice profit. I can't say I'm upset about it, because when I set the trade and I set the TP, I was comfortable at the time that was a good trade. So now obviously a little bit salty that it's ripping without me, but a good move nonetheless. Now let's look at some big levels. We've blown through our first one, which was our 147 to 148 zone. What is our next danger zone for SOL on the higher time frame? 160, and then we've got our next one, 180. Okay, 170 to 180, and yes, Chainlink is on the list, sir. Okay, it's coming. And yeah, Zen also out of SOL. So guys, these are your big upside rejection zones. Now, how do we get a trade out of this thing? Is there another trade for SOL? Okay, so I wanted to give you guys, what I want to tee you guys up on is, you guys obviously know when we get a massive pump in the market, I automatically start looking for potential head shorts and those types of things in those areas. But when things are super bullish, we can also really go pretty degen, and we can start looking at things like 236 fibs. We can dial in on the lower time frames, and we can start being a little bit more aggressive on a couple of things. So what I've covered here for you guys is SOL with a possible bullish entry. Now it depends how deep they're going to pull this thing back. But if you get a 236 pullback on something like SOL, I mean, it's tiny. You know, it's really a small pullback. If you get a 382, well, obviously that's a bit more of a banger for me. So right now, what I would love to see, guys, is that. Okay, so there's no fresh trade for me on SOL unless I've got the cap on that is like, fuck, I'm going to take some risk here. I want to play breakouts even though everything's hot. You know, like it's a dangerous thing to be doing now. So I'm not saying you can't do it, but in terms of that, this would make a lot of sense to me for a nice long on SOL. 142.5 makes sense, because this also gives us our rising trend in play. Look at that rising trend there, and a drop into 142.5 starts making sense that, hey, we're holding a trend, we're retesting VWAP, we're retesting horizontals, and that's a big zone for me. So 142, it's a dip down, okay? So it's an ugly dip down, but it's going to be a nice move on BTC. So it's about 5.8% down from here on Sol, and that's the safest sort of degen long I can give you. That's the one where I can say to you guys, look, that's probably your lowest risk opportunity here on Sol in terms of the current conditions. Let's not lose sight of the fact that a lot of these oscillators are sweating a little bit. And I've explained this before, just because they're sweating doesn't necessarily mean that, you're going to get rinsed. It just means there's a little bit of exhaustion out there, and it just might need a little bit of time just to settle a little bit before the next pump. So to 142.5, guys, that's the reasonable one for me. 147 is another option for you, 147. So you can try that one. And the higher you go, obviously, the higher the risk. And then obviously, guys, you've got your degen play. Now, what is your extreme breakout degen play? If there is going to be another move, you break it down on lower time frames, and you simply looking for something like this. Okay, you want to see this thing break through the horizontal, bang. Okay, then typically you're going to get a candle come back and retest, might come back inside, and then you get the move. So the real test on this trade is if the bulls step in when you get that little pullback. So if you are feeling bullish and you want to take on risk, okay, which I have explained to you why I'd like to see a pullback. If you are looking at this thing saying, this market's going to pump more, don't ape your full clip here at resistance. You nibble little bit if it starts putting pressure. Then you let this thing come back down. The real trade is when the bulls step in on the retest. Okay, you got to look for them to come back. Are they going to step in there? Otherwise, it's just going to be called a deviation or a quick flush or something like that. So your real test, guys, nibble through the highs, get the buys in when it comes back. So that's going to be around 151, 151.5, those types of areas. Okay, that's the real trade. Okay, so just be safe there. And Payne says, I will only sell if bearish James is on. James, are you bullish or bearish? Are you bullish or bearish?
Bullish at the moment.
Nice, bullish. I like this.
You are an asshole. A proper one.
Okay. So guys, there's a breakout play for you there on Sol, and then how do you manage your stops? So again, it's a very tricky thing because your risk is quite high. So what you can do is you can put a stop under the lows. So in this example, 148, and then if you're nibbling and it pops higher, you most likely going to come back down. And once it bounces in this region, so once you get that bounce, then you're going to bang a stop after that bounce. Okay, that's going to be your safest way to play that Solana breakout if it is going to break out. Okay, so guys, I'm trying to cover you for everything here. I know you guys are frothing. I know you guys have FOMO. You want to play breakouts. Just remember, play them safely. I'm trying to give you the safest way that you can play the breakouts. We all degens at the end of the day. We all do try and do these things. I just want you to do it safely. Okay, so that's how I would do it on Sol if you want to play that game. Okay, let's talk. You see, I'm going to get fucking rinsed now on the 𝗬𝗰. I'm going to get rinsed on WIF. I feel like I'm going to get rinsed. Okay. Okay, let's go. Let's get into this stuff. So let's talk 𝗬𝗰. Why is this thing so amazing? I mean, it's the number one. Okay, it's the number one performing L1 this week. Okay, stablecoin supply at all-time high, 880 million. Okay, now 𝗬𝗰 is pumping into the 200-day moving average. This, for me personally, it's a massive danger zone. Okay, I obviously left 10% on the table there on that trade, and this for me is a big area. Okay, so personally, I'm super nervous here on fresh longs on 𝗬𝗰. Obviously, this thing can grind when the sentiment's out there and things like that, but for me, the next long on 𝗬𝗰 is going to be some kind of dip or some kind of pullback, and we might have to wait for it. Okay, we might have to wait a little bit of time for that thing. So this is the hat I'm wearing at the moment on 𝗬𝗰, and if there is going to be a pullback, it's most likely going to be at one of these two areas for me. Now, you can see that 200-day MA is a massive area for us, and safely long the top of Myro. Me and Jay long the top of Myro earlier today. It was wonderful, but we did it the exact way that I showed you on Sol. Okay, the exact same way I showed you on Sol. Okay, so 𝗬𝗰 at resistance, you can see this 3. Okay, that's a big resistance zone. You can see our oscillator screaming at us, but what is in its favor is a very strong cash flow. Okay, we like the look of this cash flow, nice and green. Okay, looking good and strong there at the moment. So if there is a rejection, guys, what you're looking at, 2.81, reasonable. 2.66, reasonable, okay, for 𝗬𝗰. Then if there is a pump here, exactly like we've seen with Sol, look at that, okay? Very obvious zone for me. Be super careful in that area. I suspect we get a reversal up there in that zone. So 3.16 up to about 3.26. That whole region is a danger zone, okay? Now, also, I'm not telling you guys go in there and start shorting when the market is fucking ripping. I'm just showing you what I'm doing when I'm head shorting at these big zones. It's a very small percentage of my longs, okay? So I've got a nice balance here in play because I don't want to get caught in a position where I'm only short and then they pump it through, okay? That's the ugly place to be. So in terms of pullback zones, that is what I'm looking at for 𝗬𝗎. Remember, all these charts go straight into Chart Hackers directly after the show, and you guys will have access to all of these things. Okay, so there is 𝗬𝗎. You've got the game plan there on that guy. You've got your long zones. You've got your potential short zones there on 𝗬𝗎. Right now, the only trade I can see personally is a head short play for me, and that is why I've taken that head short there on 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Okay, cool. Next one is WIF. Okay, same story. Okay, exactly the same story. Rob N says 𝗬𝗎 can run hard. Guys, 𝗬𝗎 can rip. Okay, I like a part of me feels quite hurt that I closed that trade. What's happening?
Your shorts might do well. Besson's just come out and said that there's no unilateral cutting of any tariffs with China. What's everyone talking about? Trump never said that. It's like, uh-oh, line up the shorts.
Bullish. Okay,
but the Trump token is flying at the moment. Through the roof. I'm like, what did he say now that thing's flying?
Okay.
This market, man, I tell you.
It will remain a mystery. Okay, so guys, here is WIF. Also, what a wonderful pumper. What an absolute fucking banger this WIF has been. And now it's reversing. Okay, these were the big zones we gave you yesterday. Danger reversal zones. We pumped into these areas. Remember, these are the zones you typically look to take profit. These are the zones you look, for hedge plays. And it's typical areas here. They're not complicated zones. And it's just doing, what we expect it to do after a pump. So now, how do we get into a fresh WIF position? How do we do this thing? So in terms of where we can go now on WIF, look at this thing. 0.53 is your first degen level. Now, I do have tie in here for you guys, so it's not the worst place to be, okay? 0.53, watch that area there on WIF. That could be your first bounce zone. Then 0.4996, okay? 4996, watch that area. So what I would like to see, if we do get something like this playing out for us, is a typical flag forming down there, okay? And we get a little bit of bounce around for the next day or so, and then some kind of explosive move out of WIF. That is the safest way for me, that I would like to pick up some more WIF to the upside. Okay, so 5324996. You can see, look, guys, there's a lot of levels here. Look at that. Okay, that is big, and that's probably your 0.5 as well, and that's your previous major resistance. So 477. So let's just highlight this whole region for you guys so you have the full understanding. Remember, you don't always have to ape one size into a trade. When you are looking to build a trade, if you have a bullish bias, what you can do is just ladder into your position in good areas. So if you start dipping into these zones, you can get multiple buys in while it drips into that area, and then you can get that big bounce. That's how I played that 𝗬𝗎 trade as well, and I got that size up to $110,000, and I started it pretty small. Okay, and all you do is ladder in and you nibble when it drops into those zones, and then you add when these things start pumping. So guys, these are the big zones here for WIF. Where's a fresh long for me? Here. Okay, that's a fresh long for me down there. Anything in between is what I like to call fuck-aroundery. Okay, so it's high risk degen stuff. You're playing small positions and then quickly aping size when it starts pumping. It's quite a stressful environment to play in, because if the market reverses, you can just get chopped up. Okay, so just play safe there. You can see my current sentiment on WIF. Okay, and look, stand to be taken out, stand to be wiped out on this thing. And you can see my stop loss here, 𝗬𝗎 3.11. And let's see, do I even have my stop in place yet on WIF? Okay, no, not yet. But for me, the ideal stop for WIF, guys, is going to be a close above those highs. So 595, those types of areas. If you start closing above there, then it's obviously getting a little bit more bullish. And then maybe there's a couple of headlines changing out there. Now, I dropped this in Hackers earlier today. It was a PEPE short setup. I just told the guys I was shorting PEPE in this area as a hedge play. And look, it started falling over. Okay, nice and clean. And 𝗬𝗍𝗍, you like that, bro? It is called 𝗓𝗃𝗓𝗍 though. It's where it gets expensive. Okay, you can cost yourself money when you play those games. Okay, PEPE turning over at a nice resistance zone. Where is a reasonable area for me to add to my PEPE long? Okay, so don't forget, I don't have any intention of closing this PEPE. I've decided I've got a bullish bias here on the situation, and I've got a big PEPE long at the moment, and I've got a PEPE hedge short in that area. And for me, all I want to do is let the short play out if it wants to, add to my long. Okay, I want to get a bigger long here on PEPE. Same story with Link. Okay, you can see what's going on. Yeah, I'm $140,000 long on Link. I've got a short in play. Okay, that short's going to buy me more longs. Okay, I'm going to add to Link at a nice, reasonable short zone. Same, well, POPCAT, that's just a short here. You can see it's okay. 𝗫𝗰𝗵𝗶, same story, 34,000 short at the moment, 170,000 long. Okay, I'm at a massive short zone here on 𝗫𝗰𝗵𝗶. I'm going to give you guys this trade as well, and you can see if it makes sense to you, you can join me in that short. Okay, so let's talk PEPE levels. Where's the next long for PEPE, guys? For me, 845. Okay, that is the first area for me that I can start looking at this thing saying maybe we're going to get something out of this PEPE. So 845 is going to be the add zone there for me, and then lower down at 793. I've got this next region for you. 793 makes a bit of sense. And again, I'm keeping this super simple here. We're just using some basic fibs and some basic levels here, and we're just looking for that reaction. So if we do dip lower, bang, okay, that's kind of what I'm looking for there on PEPE. And Nahid says, Bull's going to take control. Dude, I would hope so, okay? Because the Bears have been in control for a couple of months, and I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that bearish shit. We must pump. Okay, so there's your PEPE, guys. Ideal long for me, 7930. You can see we are short here at the moment. If you reclaim those highs, yes. Okay, we're talking scalp longs and doing those things like I showed you on Sol. But until then, looking for a little bit lower here on PEPE. Now, let's talk what's going on in 𝗬𝗃 for me. So you can see I've started a near short in 𝗬𝗃 as well in an isolated position. And my strategy here is I believe near in the next couple of days, even if it does pump some more, it's potentially going to roll over at one of the big zones to the upside. And I've started a very low leverage short position, and I've got more orders ready to go, ready to sell near higher up around about my liquidation levels. So my next sell is about 2.7 on near. So I've got my first buy or sell in at the moment on near, and looking to build a short in isolated now on 𝗬𝗃. And it's just going to be some extra cover for me in case the market starts dipping. Okay, so let's talk near. Why is this important to me? So we are still under the 50-day moving average. This is the 3-day chart, and ideally you want to see a candle close above the 3-day chart, because that could tell us that we are going to get some kind of big move here, okay, to that region. I'm looking at about a possible upside here of 22% still. Okay, so we've got our first zone at 2.7, 10%. I expect some kind of rejection at 2.7, somewhere in that area. Then I've got my next area at 3, call it 3, okay, as the next big zone for near. If you look at the other charts, all the tokens that have broken through the 50-day MA, they've absolutely rocketed. And for me, seeing near floating around under 50-day MA with semi-bullish vibes coming out of in the world at the moment, it feels like you want to be net long on this thing. Okay, but what we do know is there are areas on lower time frames where these things struggle. There are areas where you may or may not get pullbacks. And I'm saying to myself, I'm heavily long on this token. Okay, I started it yesterday. I'm now at major resistance. What is my plan? Do I close some of it here, or do I have conviction that this thing could maybe start ripping a little bit higher? So, you know, for me, I'm anticipating currently a pullback in either one of these zones here for near. Okay, and you can see currently it's a lot relative strength. It's a lot stronger than a lot of other tokens right now at this resistance zone. So this is the first area for me where I think we could get a short-term rejection or short-term pullback. And I'm talking about you know, just a mini move to the downside, something like that, some kind of bullish flag here, something like that on this thing is the ideal situation for the bulls. But what tends to happen when things get bearish in the market, what happens to the guys? The news comes out. Okay, so sometimes you'll start getting that, and then bad news comes out, and then this thing drops. Okay, and then everyone's like, you know, it was a fake pump and all this shit. So, you know, these are possibilities in these areas. But in terms of danger zones for me, guys, near 2.5, problem area, order blocks, fibs, 50-day MA, horizontals, VWAP. There's a lot going on here in terms of a fight for near. If it breaks through the zone, where's the next area? The next target is 2.7, 2.75 for near. That's the next upside target that you're going to be watching. And then obviously the big dog is this guy there, okay, at these highs at 3. So ideally, perfect world, get some kind of dip here on this near situation, use that, add to my near long, get a big size going, and then send that one a lot higher. So that is my current game plan. Okay, I hope you guys understand my thought process behind this. You can see this thing has put on the brakes right here, and it's uncanny how the bearish headlines come out and the weird tweets come out when these things are sitting at resistance every time. And Melinda says, oh, let's have dinner at the White House. Is she going to the White House? Trump just announced 220 Trump coin holders will have dinner. Oh my God. Is it random?
That's why it's ripping. No, the top holders, so the 220 top holders, that's why it's ripping. Everybody's aping in, trying to get their spot for dinner.
No ways.
I had to look. Something obviously made it pump out of nowhere like crazy. It's just gone up like a couple dollars all at once. It's insane.
Oh my fucking God. I mean, this is so hard to buy. Wow.
I managed to catch it as it was flying. I'm up 200% so far.
Oh, guys. Okay, just be careful. Okay, yeah, okay. Anyone sitting in Trump coin? Yeah, okay, look out. Okay,
buy some more, secure your seat at dinner.
Fuck, 12.5. This just looks like rinsage coming. 13.6, 12.5, 13.6. Those are your targets. If you're crazy enough to jump into this thing, and then there's a big target up here. Okay, that guy. Bang. Okay.
I'm aping in so I can try and sit next to Melania.
Oh my God, James. Okay. Guys, it might run. Okay, it might run, but just if you're going to play this, play it small. Okay, I'm going to give you your targets again. Okay, watch this thing. 12.4, 12.4, 13.5, and the big dog 17. Okay, those are potential targets, and they are making exit liquidity 100%. Okay, 100%. Okay, Panda, what are you shorting, bro? What is he shorting? Okay, let's go. Let's see what else we got. Okay, Link. Okay, big one for us. Link, guys. This is obviously a banger. Ape says, good luck, James. Okay, so guys, Link's a banger. Okay, now the big target for me here, or the first big one, 15.7. I think this thing's got legs. And what I'm looking for, keeping it super simple here, same story, some kind of flag, okay, some kind of action there for me on Link. That would be incredible for me if we can get this. So 14.35, 13.78, those are your big bull zones there for Link. Okay, those are the ones we want to see hold a rising trend and then carry on the current pumpage. Now, in terms of the oscillator, you've heard this from me 1,000 times before. It's looking tired. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to roll over, but what I like to see on Link, where am I adding to my position? 14.35, 13.78. That makes the most sense to me. Okay, if it pumps a little bit more, you're most likely going to get Link run into 15.9 as your next target. 15.9 is what you're looking at on Link. That's going to be your next region. And then you're going to keep it exactly the same. You're going to pump into there. And this is the area you're going to look for some consolidation, some kind of flag here. And that's going to be then your fresh add-on zone. So yeah, it depends on how you're looking at things now, guys. If you're buying here and you're buying on leverage here, you're potentially buying at a danger resistance zone where the market could just start slipping and falling over a little bit, and you can put yourself under pressure. I understand the pain. If you're not in a couple of trades now, you have a bit of FOMO and you're thinking, fuck, what must I do? Someone help me. I don't want to short. I'm feeling bullish. Well, guys, the best way I can say is ladder in slowly when you get the weakness, because at some point on these tokens, they might pump another 5, they might pump another 15%. At some point, you're going to get that nice dip where we get that consolidation. The market breathes again. Everybody says, okay, hang on, we're getting ahead of ourselves. things consolidate, and then you get your entries again. So just don't hurt yourself here buying the top. And there's a lesson here again. I remind you, the best entries are when you're feeling bearish, when the market is falling over, and we nailed those, I think, on Wednesday, James. Wednesday or Thursday, ONDO, Link, with I don't know, there was so many, guys, and it's so important that you watch my show on days like that. Okay, you really got to take advantage on these red days, because that is where we get these absolute banger entries. And yes, Yumi, I feel your pain. Okay, so I'm trying to just give you guys the safest areas for me. Like, where would I ape? You know, where would I put money? You know, where would I bet? And for me, it's got to be at those pullback zones. Let's cover ONDO as well. Look, pullback into our danger zone. So these danger zones doing the thing again. And where do we get our fresh longs, guys? We hungry for ONDO. I'm desperate for ONDO. Where do I get an entry now on ONDO? So guys, keep it really simple. Wait for your big levels to come to you. Okay, and let's watch these areas. So reasonable areas for me on ONDO. This guy, 895. Okay, careful there. Alternatively, you're probably going to push this thing down to trend and 618. Now, it's not going to be a fun ride, but your perfect situation would be something along these lines. Okay, and then you get a nice pump out of ONDO. Now, we don't know what the next headline is going to be, but in terms of levels, guys, 895. 859. Okay, watch those areas. That makes sense to me on ONDO. You can see this thing is sweating. Let's talk XRP, because that's one from earlier today. Now, you can see what's going on. The XRP has broken, and I touched on this one yesterday, and I'm sure James is very excited about this, but XRP broke a big downtrend from the highs. Okay, so it's gone one step further today, and it's stuck its head through the 50-day moving average. Now, I noticed that earlier this morning, and it looked quite interesting to me. So I took a degen long on XRP at this break of the 50-day. The assumption is when you break the 50-day MA, a lot of these tokens, they break through, they push quite a bit higher, and they retest it and hold on a bearish day or three, and then they really start ripping out of those areas. So what I liked there on XRP was that it started breaking the 50, but what I wanted to see for this move to be full was a pump into this zone and then come back for the retest. So unfortunately now, XRP's reversed a little bit early. Okay, it didn't reverse in like the best banger area for me. It's reversed in sort of this really random zone. Okay, it's not my best area. Okay, you can see these levels that it's reversed at. So what am I looking for? I've written here reasonable support zone. This is the big one, 2.13. That is your first big area that you're going to look at and say, okay, this is a trend retest, this is a horizontal retest. This might be a place where we can get some kind of bounce out of XRP. So if the 50-day MA fails, 2.2. If the 50-day moving average doesn't hold, the next reasonable zone is 2.13. Watch that area, 2.13. And then other than that, they're going to send us back down to a big level here where I expect quite a hard bounce. Okay, first line of major support, I've marked it on the charts, 2.04. Okay, big one here for me on XRP. So there's three levels there. You can see I've taken the degen play on XRP. Oh, I've been logged out. Okay, well, I've taken the degen play on XRP, and my exit is going to be, if we start closing under the 50, I'm going to cut that trade. Okay, I'm not going to hang around. And we're going to let this market play out and do a few other bearish things. Is 8-bar ripping again? Trump coin not slowing down. Where's this Trump coin? Jeez, guys. I mean, oh my God. Look, James is happy. He's like literally fist pumping here. Look, I can't buy this. Okay, I can't. Okay, but it's just too much risk. Okay, but you can see the big levels here: 13.5, 17.5. Okay. Oh my God, guys. Okay, just take profits. James, are you taking profits? TP went happy.
Moon only.
Jesus, guys. Okay, that's rough. Okay, let's see what else I got for you. Okay, POPCAT as well. You guys see I'm in a little POPCAT short over there. We are now bleeding a little bit lower. Where's a reasonable zone? Guys, I'm bullish on POPCAT. Where do I want to buy it? I need a piece of this thing. Where's a good area for me, guys? So keep it simple. 0.33 and 0.29. These are your reasonable areas. You can see our oscillator here at the bottom starting to accelerate a little bit to the downside. So this thing is pushing hard now to the downside. downside. And let's see if we can get some POPCAT at 3.3 or 2.9. For me, I think a fair TP, I would love to see this guy. 2.9, and then that's going to be a long zone that you're going to be looking at. So that's going to be your sort of reasonable long area. So something along these lines, okay, bang that out there. Something like that is what you're going to look for on POPCAT. Now, guys, don't get upset if the market is dipping a little bit. Okay, it's fairly reasonable for the market to fall over at big resistance zones. That's a major Bitcoin rejection area. So now, if the market stays bullish, it's a simple concept. The bulls step in on a bullish pullback. A bullish pullback, 382s, 618s. That's what we're looking at now. And if the bulls aren't going to step in, well, we're going to lose those 618s. We're going to lose rising trends, and we're going to hell again. Okay, but that is why we've got chart hackers. That is why we got the amazing team in there, and that is why I'm covering you every single day here on Banter Plus. Longs and shorts. Okay, got you guys covered on all these things. And make money, travel, enjoy, says when TP on the 𝗬𝗰 short. Let's take a look here. I'd say 266 is quite nice. It's a 382. I don't want to say 241. That's disgusting. Okay, 281. 266, because those are your potential long zones there on those things. Did Trump get liquidated? I see Panda got liquidated on some Trump. Okay, guys, yeah, okay, you've got the deal. You can see my views, possible flags we're looking for, possible buys. Let the bull step in. Don't FOMO at the top, okay? It's a terrible thing to do. We all do it, okay? You saw Jay earlier. Me and Jay longed the top of Myro earlier today. Thankfully, it pumped, okay? But it's a proper degen thing to do. You're not going to tell your grandkids about those types of moves, okay? Cool. Guys, I'm out of here. See you later.